So far, we've heard people talk about housing and unemployment, saying that they want the president to address those issues specifically. Let's get the political state of play right now. And we're joined by Reza Omar, a strategic research director. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Let's talk about our politicians, and let's start with the man at the top, Cyril Ramaphosa. We all thought he would be able to turn around the economy. How's that going? What's his favorability looking like?
Well, at present, at the end of 2019, 61% of South Africans were favorable towards President Ramaphosa. At the start of 2019, 56% of people were favorable towards him. However, with the May national and provincial elections, his favorability rating went up to 62, and it remained pretty flat throughout the entire year, with him ending at 61%, the highest of all political leaders.
Is that going to change given the power crisis that we're seeing people endure on a daily basis in South Africa? And what else could work against the president going into this year and going into the local government elections?
Well, in order to understand Eskom, we asked people, how much do you trust Eskom? And at the beginning of last year, 56% of South Africans trusted Eskom. However, when load shedding happened at the beginning of last year, trust dropped all the way down to 35%. The elections came and trust rose again all the way to 55%. But as the year progressed, trust started to drop systematically all the way down to 44% in the November-December period. But we also asked South Africans, in April, who's to blame for this Eskom crisis? South Africans told us it was Eskom's leadership who didn't do their job properly. That was a third. South Africans said it was the municipalities who didn't pay Eskom its money on time. It was the government. And a minority said it was state capture, Jacob Zuma and the ANC. This time around, when we asked it in December, nobody even mentioned Ramaphosa. Nobody blamed him for the Eskom crisis this time. That is mainly because he is likely to be seen as the man who's looking for answers, for solutions to this Eskom crisis.
That is very interesting to me, because right now my trust percentage point for Eskom is 0. Let's talk about other politicians in the economic state, well, not economic, the political state of South Africa. What are the other parties looking like when it comes to favorability among South Africans? Do we see a strong alternative to Cyril Ramaphosa?
No, Cyril Ramaphosa is head and shoulders above everybody. One of our interesting political leaders is Julius Malema. And when we look at Julius Malema's favorability rating over 2019, it has rested between 27 and 25%. This is unlike the previous years when his favorability rating kept on climbing every single quarter. This last year, his favorability rating plateaued. And at the end of the year, his favorability rating ended at 26%. For most of the last 2 years, Mmusi Maimane, when he was leader of the DA, had a favorability rating between 30 and 28%. He was very consistent. After he left the DA, his favorability rating dropped to 24%, despite not being the political party leader. John Steenhuisen, he has a favorability rating of only 15% at the moment. The lowest of all the three major parties.
So, of course, he has a lot of work to do to convince his constituents. One more question on the state of politics in South Africa. When we look at politicians and government, do we think that our politicians are doing enough in government to see the lives of South Africans actually change?
Well, we ask South Africans, what are the most important problems facing South Africa? 75%, 29 million South Africans say to us, it's unemployment. Unemployment is at its highest level since 2003. A third of South Africans, the second most important problem, is crime. We see that trust in the South African police services has dropped to a historically low point where only 39% of South Africans trust the police services. Corruption is also mentioned as one of the most important problems. Now, President Ramaphosa, in the last State of the Nation, in February, promised to bring the perpetrators of corruption to heel. That hasn't happened yet. And what we also observe is that 3/4 of South Africans actually believe that corruption is increasing. This correlates with the lowest scores in trust of the National Prosecuting Authority and the Public Protector. There are other issues that have cropped up now. One of them is water supply. South Africa has been faced off with a drought, and that relates to climate change. Is the president going to talk about the drought? Is he going to talk about climate change and what government is going to do about this? And then there's education. These are some of the most important issues that's facing the country right now.
All right, thank you so much for your time and your insight. Appreciate it. Reza Omar, of course, a strategic market analyst.